Hi everyone, let's now start implementing Kafka Producer module. In this lecture, you will use Spring Kafka to communicate with Kafka from your application. Spring Kafka provides a template as a high-level abstraction for sending messages, and also provides a Kafka listener annotation to be able to consume a Kafka topic. You will also use this Kafka listener annotation in the coming sections when you start consuming data from Kafka. We will start by adding dependencies. First, appconfig data and Kafka module from our local dependencies. And for Kafka module, we need to add this dependency into the main.xml file with version, since we are using this for the first time. Then we will add Spring Kafka dependency that we previously used for other modules. And finally, we will get a new dependency here, Kafka Avro Serializer from Maven repository. Let's add this dependency to main.xml file with version 5.5.1. Then we can start using it in our Kafka Producer module. We also need to add some exclusions to Kafka Avro Serializer dependency for SLF4j, Log4j, and Swagger, because we don't want to use these dependencies from this Kafka Avro Serializer library. One more thing about this repository is that this is located at Confluent repository, not in Maven Central repository. So we need to create a new repository in the repositories section of main.xml file, and then mention the Confluent URL to be able to download this dependency from Confluent repository. We can also set this repository in the Maven settings XML file, but I will leave it here for now. Let's now go to appconfig data module and create Kafka Producer config data configuration class. We need to add producer-related properties for Kafka here. We will use a prefix called kafkaproducer_config in configuration properties annotation. This class will again be a configuration, and we will use data annotation from Lombok. Let's define key serializer class and value serializer class as string variables. Then we define compression type and acknowledgement variables again as string. And then we will define two integer variables for batch size and batch size boost factor to be able to change the batch size. Finally, we will add three more integer variables, linger ms, request timeout ms, and retry count. Let's then open application YAML file and then start setting values to these properties. I will set the values first, then we can go over and explain each of them. Here we say that key serializer class will be long because we will use a long variable for key. And for value type, we set Kafka Avro Serializer, which is a class in Confluent library. For compression, we choose Snappy among options gzip, none, and lz4. Snappy is a compression library from Google, and it is faster than other options, but it provides less compression to accomplish this. For acknowledge, we choose all because we want to get acknowledgement from all replicas to be more resilient. As I mentioned, we could set it to 1 or 0, and if we set it to 1, it will only wait for the broker that gets the request from producer client. And if it is set to 0, it will not wait and return immediately without acknowledgement. Default batch size is set as 16 kilobytes, which is the actual default value. And we also define a boost factor here for batch size, which we can use to try different values and see if it performs better or not. I will leave it as 100 times of the default value, to enable more batching and to get high throughput. For linear MS, we set as 5 milliseconds. For light load, I still want to create more batches, so here I added a delay to producer client to wait before sending the request to Kafka. We then set the request timeout milliseconds as 60 seconds. Here we say that after 60 seconds, if no acknowledgement comes, producer will throw timeout error. And finally, we set the retry count as 5. That means it will retry 5 times in case of error. Alright, we will continue with the part 2 of Kafka Producer module in the next lecture.